Classic Restos, proudly brought to you by Shannons Insurance and thetradingpost.com.au. G'day, I'm Fletch, and this is Classic Restos. It's the classic car show that showcases vehicles from yesteryear. These are the lucky ones. These vehicles have survived. So sit back, relax, and enjoy Australia's most favourite classic car show, Classic Restos. G'day and welcome to another exciting episode of Classic Restos, filmed here in the United States of America. Of course, not possible without the continued support of my major sponsors. When it comes time to buying, browsing and selling online, and of course the best in insurance for your classic car, bike and home, go to classicrestos.com.au. You know who these people are. Click on their websites for more information as to how they can help you. When it came to cool, sophisticated and unique styling, combined with a relatively short time walking the automotive catwalk, not a lot came close to the Auburn Duesenberg. So much to the point that the extraordinary Duesenberg so rightly deserves its own motoring museum as well. As a matter of fact, this building right beside me is where they were made. This is a National Historic Landmark, and it's welcomed nearly 2 million visitors from all 50 states and from over 40 countries since the museum opened its doors at noon on Saturday, July 6, 1974. It inhabits the former Auburn Automobile Company's national headquarters building, and it's a place where history was made over 75 years ago. And many of the Auburn and Cord automobiles you see driving around, if you do, were designed and developed in this very building. You know, it's easy for visitors to see why the museum has received such high national praise. This automotive mecca, laced in Art Deco styling, exhibits over 120 cars ranging from 1894 to 1999, and automotive displays are on 3 floors. The museum has also the greatest and the most extensive collection of Auburn, Cord and Duesenberg automobiles in the world. When you walk in here, you step back into an era, the golden era of automobiles. You can walk the same hallways as some of the automotive giants. You think to yourself, what a day at the Cord factory must have been like here back in the 1930s. Auburn Cord Duesenberg Museum. This is amazing, Aaron. Welcome to today's show.
Thank you very much, Fudge.
Before we start, Eric Cord, now tell me a little bit about this great man, because looking around here, this guy, he was amazing.
Yes, he was, actually. He began his, you can say, his automotive career in the 20s, actually building Model T speedsters and flipping them for extra money. Over time, he started selling cars, higher-end vehicles, and then about 1924, he was contacted by a group of investors that owned Auburn Automobile Company. The company was struggling. They found this young man who was able to sell thousands of cars at a time. He came down here, and the amazing part is they were going to offer him a huge salary. He said no, all he wanted was a percentage of the profits.
Aaron, we have a particular car next to us here. Tell us the year and about this car.
This is a 1926 Auburn 888. It's an 8-cylinder roadster. And the interesting thing about this specific car is it illustrates the design cues that E.L. Cord felt were important to help build the image of Auburn Automobile Company.
It's amazing. Now, in terms of quantity, there can't be too many of these guys on the planet.
No, there isn't. At the moment, if you were to contact the Auburn Cord Duesenberg Club, there's only one other registered 26 Auburn 8-cylinder roadster, and it is in Australia. So,
Aussies. See, we thieved it, eh? It must be true what they say about us down under.
I would agree.
Aaron, the colour scheme is quite unique. Such a stylish car. I mean, these were top-end vehicles. I mean, you've only got to take one look to know that in the 30s, anyone that drove a Duesenberg or a Cord, you would have been high-end.
That is true. Even the Auburns themselves were high upper middle class. You know, these vehicles cost twice as much what most Americans earned in an entire year. Now you bring in the Cord, and that's even a higher price. And then finally, the pair ultimate, the Duesenberg.
Okay, have you got a second car to show us?
Yes, I do. Yes, this is a 1932 Auburn V12. Yeah.
What's amazing too, now look at the tyres. Now the tyres are original?
We believe so, if at least the second set of tires this car ever owned or wore. And so it definitely shows. This is an unrestored Auburn as it left the factory.
Okay, now the history of the car now, a fairly well-to-do family must have bought this V12.
Yes, the V12 from Auburn was the cheapest V12 you could purchase in the United States at the time, under $1,300. And of course, this is at a time when most Americans only earned $800 a year. And this particular model is a custom, meaning is all the extra trimming, the top of the line.
Okay, now mileage-wise, how many miles?
There's about 9,000 miles on it.
And that's original. Well, yeah, that'd be original too, because there's no way it would have done 99,000 and rolled over and gone and done another 9.
And the neat thing about this particular model is you can really see what makes an Auburn unique. It's a special belt molding, which was instigated by E.L. Cord, and a special flush radiator grill and covering created by Alan Leamy, the famous designer of or stylist of the Duesenberg J.
This car behind us, Aaron, in your eyes, what makes it so special? I mean, mechanical advantages over other brands?
One of the things is one of the cheapest V12s, but it also includes what's called a freewheeling device, which would actually allow, once the driver would release the gas pedal, it would unhook the entire drivetrain and would actually reduce gas consumption, and it would even allow you to do some clutchless upshifts if one so desired. So,
and what year are we talking again?
This is 1932.
1932. Talk about amazing technology. Look, don't go anywhere, because we're going to cut for a break. When we're back, we'll be with Aaron again with some very special cars here at the Auburn Cord Duesenberg Museum. Thank you, Aaron.
You're welcome, Fletcher.
Welcome back. Thanks to my major sponsors. Check them out at classicrestos.com.au. We've got Aaron now here at the Auburn Cord Duesenberg Museum. How marvellous is this? Aaron, these cars are huge.
Yes, this is a short wheelbase Duesenberg, and it's still longer than most cars built today.
But they've got a wide track, they're high, they've got presence, haven't they? It's as though they're sitting up looking at you.
That's exactly what E.L. Cord wanted when he asked Fred Duesenberg to design the Model J, which you see before us.
Okay, now what's so special about this? It's got some important owners. I mean, all owners are important, but there's some significance with this car, right?
Correct. The first owner of this Duesenberg behind us was Cliff Durant, the son of Mr. Durant, who founded GM. And Cliff Durant himself was somewhat of a playboy. He then traded with John Paul Getty, the oil magnate, for an older Duesenberg and a couple $100 for this car. So then John Paul Getty owned it. And then finally was one of the most famous is John O'Hare, the famous journalist. So a lot of these Duesenbergs have very special histories and stories to tell.
I think as soon as I think of Duesenberg, I think of the exposed flexible exhaust pipes that are just so neat. They really are symbolic with the car, aren't they?
Yes, those originally were supplied with the supercharged cars, but a lot of people loved them so much they took them back to Duesenberg and says, I want them too, even though my car doesn't have a supercharger.
Not a silly question, but a lot of people would have got burnt on them back in the day, do you reckon?
It was very hot in the cockpits of the Duesenbergs. There's a number of stories where the owners stopped using them because they felt it was too hot in there.
It's amazing. I mean, but they're so opulent. I mean, they're just so well finished. I mean, the embellishments and the shiny stuff, the curved guards or the fenders, just such a unique car, just beautiful. So what powers this, Aaron?
This is a straight 8 dual overhead cam, about 420 cubic inches. So in naturally aspirated form, it's about 265 horsepower.
Racing history, where does Duesenberg go there?
They're famous for Indy 500 or Indianapolis 500 Speedway, and they also won Le Mans in 1921, the Grand Prix. And that's the only time an American-built, American-driven car has ever won there at Le Mans.
That is absolutely incredible. Now, apparently, we are going for a drive in one of these cars today. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, it's a 1936 Cord 810, which was actually owned by Gordon Bierg, the stylist of that very car.
So, boy, have I been waiting for this. I've been waiting well over a week and a half for this. This is awesome stuff. So, where is it now? Where is that car?
We're going to head back to our exhibit preparation area, and we'll pull it out into the sun.
All right, let's go. Let's go and pull the cord out.
Great.
Thanks, Aaron. Now, I know I've just alluded a few moments ago that we're going to go for a ride in a car, Aaron, right?
Correct.
But I've been distracted. I'm figuring you can wait towards the end of the show to see that. Because along the way, down to the prep area, we went past all these offices and I wanted to come in here and have a look. Explain, what's this area?
These are the design studios. This is the very place that the vehicle will ride in. The Cord 810 was styled and designed by Gordon Bierg himself.
It's amazing. And the drawings, they're still in their positions as left.
Yes, what you see behind you is actually an aluminum piece that they would actually add the diagram onto and help them properly scale up the design so they could make the actual car full size.
It's so surreal to be in here. I mean, we've got the clay model over there. It's just as though you're waiting for the staff to walk back through the door and production to commence or continue.
Right. And, you know, we set up these rooms to look as if they just went on a lunch break.
The office in the end there, whose office is that, Aaron?
That is Herb Snow. He was the director of the engineering department, and he would have overseen the design of a lot of these cars, Auburns and Cords.
Wow, and the items on his desk, it's as though he's just gone to the John. He'll be back in a minute.
Exactly, and some of those items were actually used by Mr. Snow himself, donated by the family.
Coming to this area of the building, we just walked through this really elegant, it's like almost like a small ballroom with beautiful columns and Art Deco design lighting, beautiful old cars in there. What's the story on those cars, Aaron?
That gallery is for the early Auburns. That shows all Auburns from 1903 to 1924, and it is styled to look like a dealership, as it would have been in the teens or 20s.
Just to think too, a dealership, it would have been so foreign to a lot of people because we're talking early days of cars. The public, they were just getting used to dealerships. They weren't really used to it, were they?
No, they weren't. And one of the ways to sell a car was to really have a beautiful dealership, entice the person in, made them feel comfortable, and that they were going to be taken care of because of the quality of their car.
There's some timber models over there too, obviously depicting the fenders. How did they use that, Aaron?
Those are actually fender body bucks, which they would actually use for the shaping of the fenders themselves.
But they're man-made. I mean, we're not talking, there's no computers here. I mean, this is, as I say over and over again, the talent, the people that were designers back in the day, the imagination they had here. It's just incredible.
All they had was a slide ruler and some squares. They had no supercomputers. They had no CAD capability. And the amazing thing is then these cars were hand-built on the assembly line. It wasn't like a Ford Model A. These cars were put together with the very bare hands of the workers.
Aaron, I love this. We're never going to get out of here.
You know, there's a lot of things to see in this place, and I want to show you the difference between a 1900 Eckhart Carriage and this 1904 Auburn. Eckhart Carriage turned into Auburn Automobile Company.
Just 4 years. The advance is incredible.
Yes, actually is dramatic. When Charles Eckhart founded his company, he built high-quality carriages, but it was his sons who instigated creating the Auburn. And in just 4 years, you see this simple wooden horse-drawn carriage to this automobile, which is gas-powered and can travel 100 miles. In the turn of the 20th century, the world was changing, and the type of technologies that were coming out, that were being developed, it was at a rapid pace. Not much different than it is today in the digital world. Yeah. So people were being shocked all the time by the new mechanical inventions coming out, yet they were still living in this older horse-drawn world.
And you hear stories too, you hear interesting stories that some of the people didn't want to leave the horse. It's as though they didn't trust the machinery.
Well, there was a lot of those issues in Eckhart Carriage Company. Several family members supposedly said that they were concerned that this was just a fad and the Eckhart brothers shouldn't be spending their money on it. But ultimately, as you saw down in the showroom, what came out of it was amazing.
One good thing, at least with the car, you know, when there was a storm, it didn't bolt over a fence and run off. Like the farmer got up the next day and it was still there in the barn. That would have been a bonus.
Most definitely. Of course, the big problem is if there was a storm, you probably would have gotten stuck in the mud and you would have abandoned your car for the day. But
Absolutely. Aaron, it's absolutely amazing talking to you here. We're going to have to go to another break. Incredible stuff here at the Auburn V12 Duesenberg Museum. Now, don't go anywhere because after the break, we'll be back and we will go for that drive in that awesome Duesenberg. What do you reckon, Aaron?
oh, but we're looking forward to it. And it's a Cord 810, Fletch.
Okay, Cord 810. How awesome was that? That's the first time I've ever been in a Cord. And you know what? If you look at the footage, you'll see minimal camera movement. Now, that was a camera on my shoulder. It's amazing how comfortable this car rides. It is actually quite extraordinary.
Yes, it rides like a modern car. It actually has front independent suspension. So even going over railroad tracks, you barely feel them.
The Duesenberg Automobile and Motors Company was often referred to as Doozy. The sheer splendour of these vehicles extended to the saying, "It's a doozy." They were manufacturers of luxury automobiles. There were no frills here. The company was founded in Iowa by brothers August and Frederick Duesenberg. Then the principal place of business moved to Auburn, Indiana. Duesenberg was active from 1913 through to 1937. In 1923, Duesenbergs at Indianapolis 500 were used as pace cars. In 1921, Jimmy Murphy became the first American to win the French Grand Prix driving a Duesenberg to victory at the Le Mans racetrack. A Corvette V8 did the same in 1960. After building some of the finest and the most lavish automobiles in the world, hosting revolutionary designs, the Depression caught up with Cord, resulting in bankruptcy for the company in the late 1930s. The technologies for that era that were around, and Aaron, thank you so much for showing us on today's show. I was just going to call in here as we make our way to Carlisle, but it ends up being a full show. And, you know, as I said earlier, it could be 3 shows. Aaron, thank you so much for your time and keep up the great work in preserving these fantastic vehicles.
Thank you very much, Fletch, and thank you for presenting the great history and story of all these cars.
That's okay. I don't know if I did or not. I did for a few seconds, but it goes a lot deeper than that, and it's a marvellous effort. Good on you, mate.
Thank you very much.
I hope you've really enjoyed today's episode of Classic Restos. Awesome or what? Hard to put words to. If you want to find out more about the major sponsors, they support Classic Restos, and they're also there to help you as well. That's most important. If you go to classicrestos.com.au, you'll see their logos on the homepage. Click on those to be directed to their websites. And that also goes for bikes and trucks as well. Whilst you're there at the website, if you're interested in travelling Route 66 in 2013, just click on the Route 66 logo for more information as well. The DVD boxed sets of the show are available online too. Oh, well, that wraps up another show. As I always say, until next week, please ride and drive safe. Take care. I'm Fletch, and I thank you for watching. Don't forget to like Classic Restos on Facebook. Facebook.com/Classic Restos TV. And episodes can be seen at shannons.com.au. Well, there goes another Classic Restos. Thanks for riding along with me. For DVD sets and to contact the major sponsors, go to classicrestos.com.au. Classic Restos, proudly brought to you by Shannons Insurance and thetradingpost.com.au.